Hi, Tom Hill III, CCIM SIOR here at the Strike Zone Studios up in Wolcott with Bob the Builder. Hello, Bob.
Yeah, my name is Bob Warner. I'm with Warner Consulting and Construction, LLC, 1188 Wolcott Road in Wolcott. And my number is 203-982-3481.
We just came off a podcast with Kevin Taylor on economic development and nest housing. And I got thinking, let's talk a little bit about what's going on out there in the business community this week. What are we working on? Who's calling? And also, how are we handling all this news of tariffs and interest rates and the economy and Ukraine war, Hamas? It's crazy. And you can't let that overwhelm you. How much are you reading up on that kind of stuff, Bob, or are you more focusing on putting your head down and focusing on Strike Zone and your consulting and your construction business?
Well, really the only time I get to see that is maybe when I get home late at night. I usually don't get home till 10:30, and I might be having some dinner trying to catch the news a little bit and be a little bit better versed on it, but I try not to let it impact the things that I'm trying to work on, projects that are in the pipeline, so to speak. You know?
So you're spending a lot of time every day, when you say in the pipeline, bidding, consulting, and getting things to where there's permits and jobs and people working?
Yeah, I mean, everything you work on, there's a life to it, from the time you meet a potential client to understanding what project or projects he might be involved in and what your services might fit into to help along the development of that project. But some take longer than others to get going. We were talking about it before when you talk about plans and if you need architecturals, if you need mechanical drawings, etc. Are you getting involved in a project that already has those materials, or are you advising them from ground up to get all those? You can't really put together pricing on the project till you have a little bit more information like that to do that.
And how are you handling your cash flow? Because I know myself every day when I start out as a real estate broker, I'm looking at what's in my pipeline that could go to a closing so I get a payday, and worrying about paying the bills. How are you handling that versus out quoting jobs or doing some fee consulting versus paying the nut of this big building you have here?
Well, listen, when I've been in business many, many years, so you kind of get used to that aspect of it. I mean, you have to pay your bills, and find a way to pay your bills is typically the business you do. So every project you get involved with can contribute towards that. And obviously, because they all have different timelines, that income stream is going to potentially come in at different times. So, it's just when you work for yourself, you're never on vacation, right?
It's rare unless you have staff.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have a partner that runs the office. Thank you, Sandy. That keeps us going. But to your point, every day I say, where could my next payday be, and work on that first, and then I'm checking my voicemail to see who called on what building, and trying to work on A priorities before I go to the B's. Who's calling for work these days from you?
Well, I got a few things going on. I just this morning I was down at a project in Middletown where we're cleaning out a second floor of a building that has an occupied apartment in one part. It had rooms for rent in another that they want to convert into two bedroom apartments, but it's got to have some demo and cleanup before we can even get in there and price it out and whatnot. So the first thing is to clean it out, and the second is to start pricing out the actual construction
Are
of the
they
apartments.
Paying you to clean it out, or they do it at the site?
No, they're paying us to clean it out.
Oh,
we gave them a proposal, a couple days worth of time to go in and clean out, and after a couple days we'll assess to see whether or not it requires more, or whether they want to put another day or two in, etc.
Can you explain about to the audience about progress payments when you're a contractor doing a job for someone?
Well, I mean, typically you've got a deposit and you've got a payment schedule, and it really depends on the size of the project, etc. this particular company's great. You know, they do direct deposits into your account, and it's a small job, so
Less risk.
Yeah, there's less risk, and they're good people. I mean, you doing this as long as I have, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, you get a feel for people, and they've just been really good to work with. They have another project in New Britain where they had a 4-story, 8-unit apartment building that had a fire escape and stairs put on the back that was all architecturals done, etc. But the individual they hired, or the company they hired to do it, didn't build it out correctly, and they ran into problems trying to. They can't CO the apartments to be able to move people in.
So you're Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah, in many ways. I met with them. We went out and looked at it, and they thought they might be able to get the city of New Britain to approve it. And I said to him, if he does, his boss needs to give him a raise, because I think what they're trying to do is a difficult pull, and that they really need to go in and they're going to spend some dollars from an engineering standpoint and really remodeling, if you will, of the stairways and deck to be able to make it legal stairs. And they didn't, in fairness to them, when they initially did it, even though it wasn't done per the plans, they got somebody at the city to approve it, and then the city, as I understand it, the city then took that approval away and said, no, it doesn't meet the standards.
If they come out and inspect, and this is a big problem in our industry, commercial real estate as well. I'll sell somebody a building and they have to do tenant improvements or make changes to occupy it themselves, and the permit process is expensive, timely,
yes.
And sometimes the cities don't have the knowledgeable people in the permit department, et cetera. And you and I talk about this a lot. It sounds to me like pre-due diligence on a lot of these things is very, very important. Otherwise, it costs you time and money, and if it doesn't pass inspection, what do you do then?
Yeah, I guess that's one of the protections of having plans, drawings, etc. If as long as you perform the work per those plans get approved and permitted. So once it goes to construction, as long as you perform that work according to those plans and specs.
What happened on the last job with the stairs? Did somebody not oversee the builder to make sure he was doing it according to the plans?
I think the owner did not have the expertise to know that they weren't doing it per the plans.
So could he hire you as owner's rep next time?
Oh, yeah, and that's what he may be doing now. I already had a site meeting out there and looked at it, and he had sent me the plans, and I went over it, and I said, none of the, what they did doesn't match up to the plans, and the stairs require a certain, they can't exceed, say, 7.5 or 7-inch rise, and they were at, say, 7.5, and it's a fire escape.
And the fire departments are worried about risk. They don't want people to get burned, and the fire departments don't have to come out unless they have to come out. And this is, in some ways, this is funny because Bob, people call me, I'm visible all over the state. I have 2 international real estate designations, CCIM and SIO, and I meet a lot of people every week.
Yeah.
And it's got to be like you and I think once every 3 months lately, I've gotten a call from somebody, another agent, that's trying to finish a deal, and guess what? The tenant went in and did work without permits, or like Bob said, they did it wrong. And I'm calling Bob and saying, hey, can you come help these people? And that runs you into a whole nother, you're going to get paid for it, but you're Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah.
And this permit process today, the towns have always talked about streamlining it over the last 10 years, but is the permit process streamlined?
In some ways, but you really get down to whether they've got enough personnel to handle the workload that they have. They're reading prints and stuff to see if it meets the codes that are applicable to that particular job.
The building codes.
But it's also the cities are concerned about their own liability.
Exactly.
If there's a fire and somebody gets hurt, they're not just suing the homeowner. They're going after the guy with the biggest pockets, and the city got the biggest pockets. So if they can tie the city into responsibility for any of that stuff, Lawyers are going to try to do that. So, in fairness to them, they're trying to make sure things are done correctly.
So CYA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cover CYB. Cover your butt.
Yeah,
This is a clean show.
Years ago, many years ago, you could meet with a building inspector and discuss the job and go over parameters, this and that and the other thing. I developed 150 houses. I drew all the plans for all the houses. We submitted stamp drawings on floor and roof trusses, but other than that, we didn't have stamped architecturals. We built a ton of them and never had a problem with anything. I don't know that could be done today.
Over time. Let's talk a little bit about how you and I work these days, because it is not time effective to go out for me and price a property, figure it all out, and then they're going to shop around and take another broker. So what I'm doing, I'm offering as a service to get a listing, a broker's opinion of value, and I come out and figure everything out and try to map out the way to sell or lease the property, and I get a fee. I'll credit that fee against the commission if and when earned, and I'll give them a written report that if they don't want to hire me and they want to shop around, well, they can shop my report. I'm not sure, but I'm getting paid, and I'm not investing my time incorrectly, because all we have to sell is our time and our expertise. How are you handling it as Bob the Builder, construction consultant?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, I thought about this new company for a number of years, the concept of it, and again, especially today, the way things are.
Complicated.
Regulatory,
expensive.
yeah, and whatnot.
Regulatory, yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, the homeowner, the property owner, the business owner, whomever, they can hire me, bring me in. I can put together a report on whatever it is they're trying to do with the cost to do so, and they can use that as a Bible, if you will, to compare against other companies they may want to have bid the project, or they can hire my construction side to build it all out. So
Their choice.
Their choice. And hopefully, if we do a good job, they'll choose us on the other side of things as well, and give us the opportunity to provide a whole a well-rounded service beyond simply the consulting side. But
thank you, Jeff. This has been an unrehearsed quickie of Tom Hill III, CCIM, SIOR, and Bob the Builder, also the operator of where we are now, the Strike Zone Studios in Upper Higher Wolcott. 203-755-HILL is me. Your cell?
Bob Warner, Warner Consulting and Construction, LLC, 1188 Wolcott Road, Wolcott. Number's 203-982-3481, and our website is WarnerCCLLC.com. Sorry about that.
Your time is up.
Yes.
Bye, everybody. See you next week. Thanks, Jeff.
I got a quick question for you, Tom, if you don't mind. Can I put you in the hot seat?
Fire away.
So,
You on tape?
yeah,
Good.
I'm recording. So you're a commercial real estate
Expert. Broker, consultant.
Do you get a lot of younger people trying to pick your brain to kind of, or how would you advise?
All day long, people try to pick my brain for free. I'm not doing that anymore. I've been in the business for 40 years. I have high level of expertise, and I'll always give people their money's worth. As far as young people in the business, we don't have enough of them. Most people in my business have gray hair, men and women. And our SIOR chapter, Connecticut, Society of Industrial and Office Realtors, is running 2 meetings a year for YPs, young professionals. We're highly involved with University of Connecticut, the Center for Real Estate and Urban Studies, because we need to get young people in this business. But our business historically has been straight commission, and it takes 2 years. Bob talks about pipeline and others. Yeah. It takes 2 years to make a living in the commercial real estate business, get your pipeline going so you have commissions popping out at the end of it. And we're trying to get young people in, but a lot of these young college students today would prefer to go to work for a salary, and they go to the insurance companies, the banks. Maybe they'll go into appraisal, but yeah, people want to pick my brain all the time, and I'm happy to share, but I'm not happy to share for free, only because all I have to sell is my time and my expertise, so I try to work more like an attorney or a CPA, something along those lines. Bob, any comment on that?
Well, I just think, when working for yourself, I mean, if you're a broker like Tom, whether you're working for another agency or yourself, you're still, if your commission's only, you're working for yourself basically, as far as I'm concerned. And there's a curve to that. You have to create your own legacy, if you will, of client base. Tom and I have been doing business for many years.
Together too.
Yeah, and you know, you've got to create those networks to really be able to excel at a high level and succeed. And a lot of people aren't willing to
Make that
effort to potentially suffer through those beginnings to
dry
get to
times.
the point, dry times, because there are dry times. I mean, both of us have been doing this a long time and seen a lot of different economies, good times, bad times, and every time it's bad, you think it's never going to be good, and every time it's good, you think it's never going to be bad, and it's always one or the other. So
think of the Led Zeppelin times, good times, bad times.
yeah. So you know, but when you've got a good network of people and you've been doing it a while, you can weather the storms a little bit better.
And you save your dough, so if you have a bad week, you've got reserves.
Yeah, you know, I mean, certainly now, again, with Warner Consulting and Construction, you know, I'm taking that concept from a new stage and building upon it. So, you know, it takes time to do that. But if you believe in what you're doing and you're willing to put the time in, you can do it.
To me, in my experience, I go to him a lot. He's Dr. Bob of construction permits and risk. You had another question for us, Jeff?
So you said, so if a young person wanted to speak to you, do you see yourself as a coach where you maybe take them under your wing, like if they paid, like?
There's coaches. I'm coached.
Yeah.
I go to Rod Santomassimo, best coach in the country, CCIM, like me, certified commercial investment member. I get coached. I'm happy to talk to any young person and put them in the right direction, gladly. Because we need young people in the business, and again, my SIOR chapter holds 2 meetings a year or more. We went to Trumbull Kitchen 2 weeks ago for dinner, and then we took 40 young people from UConn and a couple other colleges to the UConn basketball game at the XL Center in downtown Hartford. So we're always got something going. Oh, SIOR.com. Our CT Western Mass chapter is on Facebook and social media, and you can also look up CCIM.com for these pins. I don't have them; they're here, but I can explain them in a future episode.
We got 10 minutes, but yeah, I think you know, even if you don't give the information, I think a lot of people would be interested in getting into your.
And Bob's the same way, because you know the industry needs agents. Bob needs all kinds of workers in construction or people that are going to design, estimate, run the office. There's something for everybody. And I'm also a big fan of the New England Real Estate Journal, NEREJ.com. And they just had a major segment, pages and pages and pages of women in construction and how important women are in the construction agency, because there's way more than just going out and hitting a nail in. Right, Bob?
Yeah, and I think the thing about the industry is, as I'm sure with Tom's, there's different sized companies that are, quote, construction companies that have different capabilities, you know, small, mid-size, large, etc. And they all have different capabilities and different experience and different abilities. And I always say it's not like buying a Ford Mustang. It doesn't matter what dealership you go to, it's still coming from Detroit. Well, that's not the way it is with construction. You know, I mean, you really don't know unless you've really got some good references, etc. And that again is where we might be able to play a role, because even if they hire us to do some consulting at the beginning, they choose to hire a different company, they can still hire us to oversee and report back to them, because
we said that earlier. Construction management,
yeah,
owner's
construction
representation.
Owner's representation.
He talks about all the different construction companies. Some do interior construction, some do siding, some build houses, some build steel buildings, some do brick and mortar. And I mean, there's 100 other variations, correct, Bob?
Yeah, and some people think just because they have permits and inspections and stuff that they're covered, and they are to a certain degree, but
if they're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if Tom's a doctor and he graduated with an A, and I'm a doctor and I graduated with a D, we're both doctors. But
they
who
don't
do you
graduate
to,
on
you
it.
know?
They don't graduate on a D.
Well,
Bob.
I'm just saying, you know. So, you know, just because it got past an inspection doesn't mean it's great work. So it's not just to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do according to the plans and specs, but that they're doing it at a efficient and high level. And if there's any discrepancies that come along, or any holdups with any materials,
Ooh, that's another one.
yeah, that might affect the flow of the work, you're trying to protect the again, homeowner, business owner, corporation, whatever.
And this goes back to the young people. I mean, they don't read newspapers. They get they may be getting their news from Facebook. I'm a voracious reader. I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I have it with me too when I'm on the side of the road if I'm running out of time. It's on my phone. I read the Waterbury paper every day, and I read trade journals, New England Real Estate Journal, Hartford Business Journal. You need to know more than your clients, and you got to dig in, because if you're offering professional services, you got to be able to deliver, or what future are you going to have?
Well, and if you don't have the answer right away, you've got to be able to get a handle on what it is your client's asking you to find out about, and then you get the answers, and you go to.
How many times a year do I call you for an answer?
Yeah, so you go to quality people, you get the right answers, and you come back with the right answers to that individual or company, so that you can get them pointed in the right direction.
So we'll take a free introduction with anybody and a free meeting to find out what they're looking for. And then the difference is, if they would like us to try to figure it out and do the right amount of work to give them the answers they need, we need to get paid for that. In my side, I can credit it against the real estate commission if and when earned. Or if they don't think I can handle it, or they don't like me, or I don't like them, I can also hand them out to another qualified broker in my network or in my realm. I hand out a lot of business these days to other brokers that are better at what they're looking for, or that person isn't a match for me. It's simple.
Listen, it happens sometimes. You get a client that, maybe you just don't feel like you can provide the services that they want. You recommend somebody that can. It can happen.
Bob, like I said on radio, I got to go. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.